ever heard the terms hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism? So I want to go over with you the difference between the two. When I work with clients, the majority of the women that come to me are typically dealing with things like hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. But I wanted to also go over with you the difference between the two, because sometimes people can fluctuate between the two. And so it's nice to be familiar with kind of some causation, some symptoms and things like that. So if you could do me a very big favor first, if you could go ahead and subscribe to my channel and then hit the bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video every single week. So what is the big difference? That's what I want to first go over with what's the big difference with. So when we think about hypothyroidism, we are thinking about an underactive or slow thyroid. Hyperthyroidism is when the thyroid has become fast, it's overactive. So what's kind of the big difference? What's as far as causation goes? It can happen for numerous reasons. Sometimes it's just genetics. Sometimes it could be lifestyle. In my experience with hypothyroidism, when we have an underactive thyroid, usually there's a lot of underlying things going on. So genetics can play a role, but it's typically not always a genetic thing. Sometimes there's an autoimmune response with like Hashimoto's. So a lot of different reasons it can happen, but a lot of times it's lifestyle connected. It could just be from the foods that you're eating, things like that. There's a lot of things that I investigate to figure out why it's doing that. Hyperthyroidism can happen, again, numerous reasons. There's a lot of genetics that play a role in there. Sometimes it's people will go into hyperthyroidism because they're over medicated for hypothyroidism. I see that happen very commonly as well. So what's kind of the difference? What should you look for as far as symptoms go? Hypothyroidism has a pretty long list of symptoms, things that you can feel when you have hypothyroidism. And if you've ever had it, I have it myself. I pretty much have experienced every symptom that you could possibly experience from hypothyroidism. It was not fun. Weight gain or weight loss resistance is probably one of the bigger ones that I see. Sensitivity to cold, you're really tired and fatigued. Hair loss is a really big one that I see as well. Brain fog is pretty typical. Constipation, everything with hypothyroidism, the body just slows. So you just really feel very fatigued. You just can't really get going. Brittle nails even can happen. Sometimes women will lose like the outer third of their eyebrow as well. I know that happened with me during my journey. Those are some really common ones. Hyperthyroidism is kind of, you can get some symptoms with hyperthyroidism. Like I said, it can happen from being over medicated. So sometimes people that I've worked with, they've experienced where they're fluctuated back and forth between the two. So hyperthyroidism is a lot of anxiety, anxiousness. You feel like your heart is beating really fast, very irritable. You actually are losing weight pretty rapidly. Maybe some unexplained weight loss. Not everyone experiences that, but I know like when I was taking my thyroid medication and my dose had gotten too high because I was kind of healing and I could tell my heart was starting to race a little bit. I was awake more at night. I had a lot of sleeplessness, irritability, nervousness and anxiety. That's what you typically see. Now I see very commonly with people that have Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune disease where your body's attacking your own thyroid. I've seen people really fluctuate between those types of symptoms, the hypo and the hyper. It's very common to see that. So what can you do? The big thing, first and foremost, make sure you're getting a full thyroid panel. That's where you should always start. Get a full thyroid panel. I'll have a link below for my free guide called The Secret to Reading Your Thyroid Blood Tests. It will have on there the exact markers you need to get checked, why you need to get them checked, but not only that, the reference ranges, because the reference ranges, the typical lab reference ranges are very large, and so it will put you into a category a lot of times that everything looks normal, and when in reality you probably are not. So you definitely take a look at that. You can, again, grab the link below. What you should have definitely checked for that full panel: TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and then both thyroid antibodies, thyroid peroxidase, which is also called TPO, and thyroid globulin, which is called TGAB. This is such a crucial piece. You really have to see that full thyroid panel to know, like, okay, is this why I'm having these kind of symptoms that are, I can't figure out what's going on? Is it my thyroid? So you can kind of start ruling that out. I will also say I have a lot of women that I work with that they actually have a pretty decent thyroid and they still have all the symptoms. So That's where a lot of investigating comes into play. That's why I have my thyroid program, and I work with a lot of women in the same boat, where we do a lot of digging and investigating as to why is your body responding this way, or why are you having these symptoms, even though your blood panel might look okay. Why is the body either overusing or underusing your thyroid hormone? So there's a lot of investigation you have to do with that as well. So definitely the biggest place to start with this is to start getting a full thyroid panel. The other factor that I really want to mention is the dietary part. This is an area that I feel like doesn't get discussed, particularly by doctors. They're not going to give a lot of education, but you got to cut out inflammatory foods. So cutting out gluten, sugar, soy, sometimes dairy for some people, but a lot of those things are very, very inflammatory, and they will drastically affect what your thyroid is doing, whether it's fast or whether it's slow. I would be very careful with inflammatory foods. So that's kind of the next thing that I would address. Like I said, go ahead and grab the link below so that you can check out my free guide. That's the best place I would say to start to see, okay, am I falling into these categories? Did the doctor even do a full thyroid panel? Then you can kind of start getting some guidance as far as, do I have these symptoms, and am I falling inside or outside these reference ranges? So like I said, grab the link below to get that. If you have any more questions about this, definitely reach out. It's very, very common. Like I said, you can fluctuate between both, but it's really common to have this long list of symptoms for hypothyroidism and still have a pretty decent thyroid panel. So just keep that in mind. It's very, very common that I see this, and that's why I do a lot of investigating with this. So like I said, reach out if you have more questions with this. I hope this video helped you. Grab the link below to get that free guide. And if you have any questions, just reach out, comment below, and I will be in touch. Hope this video helped you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.